And we are live. This is Summer Spotlights with Rise with Hope. I'm your host, Aisha Nixon. Welcome to Summer Spotlights, a series of conversations with women from different fields of work and business. Conversations, ladies, that can leave you feeling inspired, empowered, enlightened, and encouraged. So every Thursday from 8 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ladies, get comfortable because we're in for an awesome conversation this evening. I have our guest, our third guest, Nicole Teschl. She is the founder of SowSweet Greetings, and she will be sharing with us this evening. And so let's get started. I am so honored to have you, Nicole Teschl. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Aisha, and everybody watching. I'm very excited to be here. So thank you for having me tonight.
You're welcome. Before we even dive into the conversation, Nicole, can you tell us a few things about who Nicole Teschl is?
Sure. So I am born and raised in Toronto. I'm very, very passionate about the place that I live in. I am a Ontario certified teacher. I just came off of a year of teaching kindergarten, but I've had the opportunity to teach in a variety of classrooms and multiple grades. So that's been really fun. I am a big traveler. I love to explore. I was fortunate enough to spend some time living abroad for a couple of years. I lived in East Africa, in Nairobi, but worked between Kenya and Tanzania for the better part of 2018 and 2019. I'm a big family person. I'm an only child personally, but I have a lot of cousins that I'm very, very close with. I love being around people. I always compare, if I were a dog, I say I'd be a golden retriever. I like going for walks and eating and being around people. And yeah, I started this wonderful little business just last year, and I'm excited to be here to tell you a little bit more about it.
Awesome. So, ladies, Nicole just shared a bit about herself. And so now we know who she is. And now let's dive into the business that she has founded. So, talk to us about the business, the name of it, and the change that you are wanting and hoping to bring with your business.
Yeah, so my business is called SowSweet Greetings, and it's SOW, so not just SO, but SOW because that's what you do with seeds. And my business is centered around seed paper greeting cards. So it's really cool stuff. You can actually take the card itself. It has wildflower seeds embedded within it, and you can plant it in some soil in a pot or in the ground, and you can actually grow wildflowers from the paper. So I started the business last year as a more of a passion project. I've always loved to draw. I've always loved puns and wordplay. I'm the first person in the room to kind of point out something that's like, oh, like you just said this. So I decided to kind of take that and run with it. And at first it started off as just me doodling, making these little greeting cards and just mostly to make like friends and family laugh. And then I was like, I'm going to start selling them, maybe make a little online store. And the idea started to bloom a little bit as I went. This is going to be me the whole time, by the way. Everybody gear up for a lot of bad jokes being made. So I knew that this was something I enjoyed a lot. And I was like, maybe I'll try and make this like a little side hustle type thing. I was teaching at the time, on and off substitute. I was taking LTOs. I didn't have a permanent position, so I had a little bit more flexibility with my time. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna make this a business, but for my own personal morals, I needed it to align with I'm very environmentally oriented. I'm obsessed with the zero waste movement. I love the creativity of repurposing. I'm a big thrift shopper. I refuse to throw out things. There's always something that you can do with a piece of clothing or some sort recycling, all of that. I love it. So I was like, okay, my business has to fit within that worldview. So I was kind of starting with just Googling like eco-friendly paper. And I was so lucky to stumble upon this business that I work with now very closely called Botanical Paperworks. And I give them a huge shout out every time I talk about the business because I just think they're they're such an inspiration in terms of how a business should be run and kind of the motivation behind it. And Botanical Paperworks, basically what they do, they're operated out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. They go downtown Winnipeg and they collect recycling from downtown schools and businesses. They repulp the paper from the recycling and then they add wildflower seeds to it. So it's 100% recycled content and it's plantable. And I remember reading this and being like, no, like I must be confused. Like there's no way that this, like you can't grow like flowers out of a piece of paper. That doesn't exist. And then the more I dove into it, I was like, oh my goodness, like this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So after a lot of trial and error, well, I had ordered paper from them because I had to see it, I had to feel it. And then a lot of trial and error went into me printing on this paper. And eventually I was able to figure out a strategy, a card size. Like it was very slow, a lot of errors made, and then kind of little exciting discoveries along the way. And then I was like, okay, well, cards need envelopes. So I was like, I'm already kind of on the right track with eco. And I'm also really passionate about supporting local and our Canadian economy and feeding money back into that. So I decided, okay, I got to get envelopes from somewhere in Canada. So I found this really great company in Toronto, and they sell what are called craft brown bag envelopes. It's 100% recycled content. 20% of it is post-consumer waste. And I drive like 15 minutes from my apartment to go collect them. And I'm very excited to share that we now have some updated packaging that we sell at our stores. And I have a little sample here. It looks like plastic, but it's actually PLA, a plant-based material that's 100% compostable, which is exciting. So it's kind of the entire product is green, it's eco, and it's full of puns. So that is what we do at SowSweet Greetings.
That is amazing. And a few things that you said that I want to talk about when you talk about repurpose and just being able to use something, probably maybe not in the same way that it was used, but maybe in a different way. And I think that's a great idea. And so, ladies, those of you who are listening, a lot of times we gather things where we live and we just throw it out. But as Nicole mentioned, there is such a thing as repurposing. So look into that, ladies, with things that you have that you may be thinking, what can I do with this? Right. So Nicole she just mentioned the word. And so maybe that's planting some new ideas in your mind in regards to that. Go ahead, Nicole.
Why? Planting ideas. I love it. Yes. I love it.
No pun intended.
That was excellent. Yeah. And I think as consumers, well, as business owners and as consumers, we have to be mindful. We've always had to be mindful, but more so than ever, we need to be conscious of the choices that we're making. So I want to make sure that anyone who is a consumer or a client of mine leaves with the product feeling good about the choice that they've made. And I think that's really important. That's something that I personally, when I shop now, I'm really focusing on, okay, where are the materials coming from? Who's making them? How are the people that are making them being treated? Where is it coming from? Is it something that I can get local, or is it something I absolutely need to source from elsewhere? So it just ties into that whole responsible shopping mindset where you just have to be aware of where you're gathering your items from. And then once you have them, making the best use possible out of them. And I love the creativity piece of repurposing too. It's so exciting. I follow all these eco accounts now. Well, I have for a while, but now more so with SowSweet. It's I'm always kind of on the lookout for these different ideas and different partnership opportunities. And the things that people are doing with repurposing it's so creative. It's brilliant. So yeah, sorry, I can get carried away talking about
it. That's awesome. No, because I think for those of you who are listening, it might be sparking some ideas for you in terms of repurposing. And as Nicole mentioned, creativity, so that's great. And also the questions that you asked in terms of when we go shopping, questions that we may need to think about ourselves when we are about to purchase something, right? Mm-hmm. So it's good to keep those in mind. I also wanted to touch on when you were talking about it was a lot of trial and error, because sometimes when we have a goal, when we start something, we don't realize in the process it could be I won't use the word painful, but it could be difficult, right? And so can you talk to us about the process and what you said with trial and error?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started, honestly, I think my first Instagram post that I made, which was when I kind of like consider the official first date of the company existing, was February 28th, 2020. So I had no idea that we were going into a global pandemic. So that was already in itself a whole other issue. But in terms of curating the actual product, there was a lot of like, okay, let me try this paper size. Okay, I don't love how it looks. Let me try this paper size. I don't love how it looks. Okay, this one works. Will the printer accept this? Oh no. Okay, fine. I have to like rejig it. Okay, this one works. Okay, perfect. Now like in terms of the designs, like I have to make sure the margins are right. Let's try this. So in terms of like technical, it was constantly back and forth. With regards to like the actual business development, I actually started off with a totally different name. My old name was actually Cute Roots, which I still like, it's near and dear to my heart. But I discovered another company about 3 months into having Cute Roots as my brand that had the name Cute Roots, and they were an American company and they do very similar things and they do a great job as well, like very much aligned with our businesses are fairly similar. And I was noticing like, I was like, I don't want to get like, I don't want there to be overlap. I don't want them to feel like I'm stealing on their idea, anything like that. So I had to make a major shift there because then that took my whole brand and kind of, I was like, okay, but when you create, like in my head, I had created Cute Roots. So to have to admit that as no longer mine and then move on to a totally different name and like kind of go back to the drawing board was like quite daunting. But I was lucky because around that time that was happening, which was fall, beginning of winter, I had just connected with a family friend who ended up being a business partner. And so at the time when he was coming on board, we were like, okay, you know what? This is now, we're going to do something together. Let's kind of rebrand. Everything is aligned. The product itself never changed, which I'm grateful for because that's the charm of it. We call ourselves the original plantable pun. Because there's other seed paper companies that do exist out there, but ours is like, I think the punniest personally, but so that was like a whole, like a big shift. And then there's just been kind of constant changes here and there. Like I know like a couple months ago, like in May, I had a big onslaught of orders. I got really lucky with some recognition from some publications in Toronto. I was on BlogTO and CTV, and my Shopify basically blew up for Mother's Day, which I was so grateful for. But I wasn't entirely prepared for that to happen. And I like panic ordered a massive amount of mailers, like of mailer envelopes that I do not need. Like I don't need this amount of mailer envelopes like ever. And I tried to like resell them. I tried to return them and nobody wants them. So it's just kind of always a learning experience of things like, okay, yes, this is what I need. This will work. And some things get, again, repurposed to something else. So if anyone listening needs mailer envelopes, get in touch with me.
Well, that's good. No, I'm so grateful you mentioned the different challenges that you had because we all have challenges, whatever it might be for, whether it's a goal, whether it's a business. And so just knowing that, yes, there are challenges, but there's always a solution to the challenge and we got to work our way to get to that solution. It takes time, right? And the time differs depending on how severe the challenge is, but we learn and we grow from it, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I have, and one thing about like the entire time I had been like in and out of teaching. So I had like a bit of a backup, but I have so much respect for those entrepreneurs out there who they've put their all into it and they're hitting those bumps along the road without such a sense of security. So anybody who's listening, who's going through that right now, like I just kudos to you because that takes a lot of guts. So
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's good. And so if somebody was thinking about getting into a greeting card business or what advice could you give them, Nicole, about 2 or 3 points of advice?
One, like be true to your values. So if you're gonna, and I guess this is not just necessarily greeting card specific, but if you're creating a brand, it's you're putting yourself in like graphic, in written, in color form in the world. And if you don't feel connected to whatever brand you're curating, I don't have a lot of faith in it going very far. There's something that's been very important to me in this like entrepreneur, and this is nothing I never expected to do this. Like I was a teacher, you know, like that was kind of just teacher. Everybody knows what a teacher does. So I was like, okay, that's going to be me. I never had thought I was going to like kind of go on to this different sort of journey. But one thing that I've really connected with is my brand. Like SowSweet Greetings is me. So aligning that with your beliefs and your values and then targeting an audience that you want to be a part of is really important. In terms of the greeting card industry, we need to move, in my opinion, we need to move away from plastic use. Like there's just no need for a greeting card to have heavy amounts of plastic, to have these pieces that look beautiful but just create waste. So I think that the greeting card industry needs to hopefully just continue to kind of move forward in that recycled, compostable, renewable resource direction. I think that that's really important. And then the last piece of advice for greeting cards, I think, I don't know. It's tricky because everybody has their own style. Like
Exactly.
I've had people tell me before, like you should like do some designs that like aren't puns. Just do like a normal happy birthday. And I'm just like, but I don't want to. Like there's enough of that out there. So you're gonna get a lot of opinions from people. You're gonna get a lot of people that come up to you and say, oh, you should do this. Oh, you should do this. Oh my God, I saw this the other day. You should do it. And there's like a fine art now to being like, thank you so much. I love the suggestion. Like I'll think about it. And in my head, I'm like, that's not me, but that's okay. You don't need to know.
Yeah.
So I think just like stick to your guns and like have confidence in what you're putting out is
I
important.
like that. Yeah, I really like that third piece of advice because we can waver to the opinions of others and then change, but not really like the change that, that person has
Yeah,
suggested.
exactly.
So be comfortable in what you've decided and confident that what you're
Mhm.
doing is who you are
Yeah.
and it will go places. That's great.
Yeah.
Um, what do you define as success, Nicole, in your So Sweet Greetings?
Um, I feel like in terms of business, and like I said, this is kind of new to me in the sense I've never been a business mind. I went to school for science. I've always been like artsy science. Like I originally when I graduated from undergrad, I wanted to do medical illustration because I love teaching science. So that's my main teachable. Senior sciences, so biology and chemistry. I could like talk about all day. I love everything to do with bringing those concepts to life. So I've never been business minded, and now that I have a wonderful partner who is business minded. He's really like I'm really learning that side about myself through him, which is cool. So I would say I define success in a couple of like sections. So like obviously when you start a business, like yes, you're doing it out of passion, it's something that you love to do, but you do want to make money. So we set like monetary goals and like work like figure out plans to achieve them. So in terms of like monetary, I have like that subset of goals, which is kind of necessary for a business to be able to function and grow. You have to be projecting higher every time. But it's more so like my idea of like I never want to let this company go. Sometimes like my partner and I will like joke about like selling the company, which I'm like that will never happen because it's like a child to me at this point. Like
Yeah.
I want to be able what I would want to do is like I would want to be like a parent whose child had grown up and can self-sustain but will always be
The
kind of
parents.
the parent. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess I want, I don't have any kids of my own personally. So I can maybe those watching can be like, that's not at all what it is. But in my imagination, I'm like, I want So Sweet Greetings to grow up and for me to nurture it and grow it until it is fully self sustaining and it's doing good and it's making people happy on its own. And I can kind of like sit back and like watch and like appreciate it and weigh in every once in a while and like still have that kind of creative connection because that was the original bond for me in the first place. Like I started because I love to draw and then everything else kind of came into it. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. That's great. And it's great that you have your monetary definition or your monetary success, and then in addition where you see it going, and
Mhm.
seeing that as success as well. Another question that I have for you: who or what inspired you to go into creating a greeting card company?
Yeah, that's a great question. So like I said, I've always loved to draw. So that was kind of always in me. My parents are really big greeting card people, in the sense that like there's a card for every occasion, like everything. There's like somebody's going somewhere to buy a card, and it's always perfect. Like I feel like every time my mom gives either my dad or I a card, we're like, you did yourself again. And I'm 30 years old, so it's like 30 years of like, wow, how did you get better than the last one? So it's always kind of been like part of our family. So it kind of made sense. I was like, if anybody knows greeting cards, I feel like I have been exposed to people who know greeting cards, and like, so I think I have a good sense of like what people are looking for, and kind of like the perfect greeting card is when you look at it on a shelf and you're like, you think immediately of the person you're looking for. Like when you're just like, oh my goodness, like that is for this person and for no one else in the world. So I try really, some of the puns I create are like quite far fetched. Like, and my business partner is like, Nicole, we're not selling this. Like, this is way, and I'm like, like we're gonna put it on the Shopify because you never know who this will speak to. There's gonna be one person for sure who will look at this and be like, oh my God, like that inside joke I had with that person 5 years ago is in a card now. So, um, yeah, that would be, I'd say like my parents would be number one for that. But, yeah, I think
No,
that's,
that's good. I like that. So even in the home, ladies, people can inspire you to, have a vision to, in Nicole's case, to be able to create her own business. And so, Nicole, do you have any examples or copies of any cards on you
I,
that the ladies can see?
I do. So I actually was designing a couple new things this past week. Well, not recently. I guess I've been selling in Italy, the Italian restaurant slash marketplace. A 10 out of 10 recommend giving it a visit at some point. It's at Bay and Bloor in Toronto, and then it's the only one in Canada, and then they have other locations throughout the States, but started selling with them, and I had created a couple in the last week that were a little bit more tailored to what they were selling in the store. So this is one. I Tita miss you.
I like that.
Um, this is again one of the ones my business partner was like, Nicole, we're not going to sell that. Like nobody's going to buy it, but I love it personally. It says, wait, what does it say? I know I'm a little past the date, but at least I didn't forgetty.
That's it. That's great. Nice birthday
Um,
card.
this one is your oil I need. Bit of olive oil there. Uh, and then this is a top seller. This one people really like. It's just a simple little one, but it fits really well with the vibe of like the paper too. So yeah, and then on the back of every card, we've been playing, like I said, it's always a work in progress. So even on these few cards, I have like, this was what the back looked like on kind of the older versions.
Yeah.
With the planting instructions. And now this one didn't print amazing, but we've included the little Canadian flag. I've changed up the font. So we're always kind of like playing with different designs and graphics and things. So those are the cards, the envelopes. I've got them beside me. This one's a little bit of a wonky print, but the envelopes are just like A2 square flap. We've got the logo in black and white, and then it just says, this envelope is made in Canada from 100% recycled content. Brown is the new green. And then we also recently, I don't think I have it on any of these though, we got these little stickers from Quebec. Yeah, I don't have them with me right now, but we've made labels where it says like plantable card, recyclable envelope, compostable sleeve. And it has the barcode on it, and the sticker label itself was ordered from a company in Quebec that makes compostable stickers. So
excellent.
yeah, so the whole thing is very, very on brand.
That is great. And I see that you have different cards for different occasions. Like, what are some of the occasions that you create cards for?
Yeah, so I've been, like I said, it's my favorite part of the business is to draw. So I get a little bit crazy sometimes, and I will go on design sprees. So I have probably at this point maybe 120 different designs.
Oh, wow.
Just like I've accumulated them since March of last year, and we cover birthdays, thank yous, like just because, I miss you, congratulations, new baby, wedding, sympathy cards, which the sympathy cards are the only ones that I'm not putting a pun on here. It's just like that. You just need to have a straight sympathy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the only one that wouldn't be like punny. The rest are all like really obnoxious. I think, yeah. And then of course, holidays. And we cover one of the things that I'm very passionate about as well, in addition to the environmental piece, all the cards are positive and they are inclusive. So what I do offer is on the Shopify, on the website, if there's a card with a picture of a person on it, you can select variations with different skin tones and different clothing.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, so that everybody can feel represented when they purchase a card for somebody. Because if you're going to buy a Mother's Day card, depending on what your mother looks like, you want that card to align. So I'm very intentional about making sure that diversity is there. And like this one, for example, this was a misprint. So you can kind of see the graphic error is like a little smudged. I don't sell this one, but this was like a Eid celebration card.
Yes.
So we try to touch on, because Toronto, you have to anywhere, but especially Toronto it's such a vibrant, there's so much diversity, and it should be something that's celebrated. So what better way to do that than with like a greeting card?
That's great. So you can order them online, and in terms of you can custom make your own card.
So you can order designs online, cards that have a image of a person. You can then select what like skin tone or what clothing you want. And then I also offer the option to do custom interior. So if you want me to write on the inside of your card and then just mail it directly to someone, there's an option for that. It's like $1.50 extra to have it like completely done for you. And then I do custom cards as well. That's handled on more of a case-by-case basis. It just kind of depends on what somebody wants. And typically, if it's a design that I can resell, so let's say somebody comes up to me and they're like, I really like boats, and I don't have like a card with boats on it at all. And they're like, I just want a generic like happy birthday card with like a boat. And if I figure something out and it's a design I can resell, I won't typically charge like an additional fee. If it's like happy birthday to Clara, like that's I can't resell a design. So that incurs a cost, but there's lots of options, and like I'm pretty easy to get in touch with. Like I'll share my information in a little bit, but if there's some, like I did a custom order a couple months ago it was sad. It was a dog obituary. So like picture like when you go to like a viewing or some sort of service for someone who's passed away, you get like a little card with their photo and like some little like writing inside. I had custom drawn the dog, which then they had like blown up and framed, but then I put it on a card, and so there was like a bulk order of that. So things like that, I'm happy to also do.
That's good to know. That's good to know. So ladies who are watching, if you are interested to have a custom made card, Nicole also does that too. So keep that in mind. So Nicole, then if we want to know more of like in terms of the cards, where to buy them, etc., how can people connect with you and the business SowSweet Greetings?
Great question. There's a couple of different ways. So you can find me online at www.sowsweetgreetings.ca, and it's spelled SOW and then sweet greetings. And that's our website. It takes you directly to our Shopify, so you can order directly online from there. Via email, I can be reached at info@sowsweetgreetings.ca. We used to have a Gmail account. Now we're in the process of switching over. So it's just info@sowsweetgreetings.ca. And then also on Instagram, if you have Instagram, it's just like @SowSweetGreetings. And then I'm also on Facebook, but your best bet if you're trying to get in touch is Instagram DM or email. Facebook, I'm a little bit less active on. It's just kind of connected to the Instagram. But if you're active on Facebook, you can definitely find me on there and link to the website, and all the info you need is there.
That's perfect.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to say also, when I was looking at the website, it tells you the planting, like a video of the planting
Yes.
instructions.
Yeah. So on the website, everything you need is there. The planting instructions are on the back of the card for the recipient that you give it to. And we're playing with the idea now of putting a QR code on the card so people can scan and it'll take you directly to planting instructions. So it's all there. Yeah.
That is
Great.
awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, learning much more about SowSweet Greetings, where it originated from, and just the direction that you're going in terms of being environmentally friendly and the whole package, not just the card. So this is great,
Thank
and I just hope and that that there's more success coming, more doors opening, more opportunities provided for your business. SowSweet Greetings, Nicole.
Thank you, Aisha. That means a lot to me. Before I go, I'm curious, who are you interviewing next?
So next week on August the 12th, we will be having Michelle Francis Smith, and she is a registered massage therapist specializing in perinatal massage therapy.
Amazing. Exciting. Can't wait to tune in.
Awesome. So, ladies, those of you who were listening, I hope you enjoyed another great and inspiring conversation. Tonight we had Nicole Teschl, the founder of SowSweet Greetings. Nicole, thank you for joining me this evening.
Thank you so much. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much for listening.
Bye.
Bye.